Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Gruff, and I'm joined in a temporary setup here by Lachlan Teely.
Yeah, hello. On episode 185, I'm kind of sick of it already. I've spent the last hour setting up the most jank setup to record because the show must go on, except next week, which we'll get to eventually. But this week, there's a lot of trailers, but we're going to cover twisters, and in terms of news, it's reboots, sequels, spin-offs, the same thing it is almost every other week in this bloody industry, so hold on to your hats because there's no fucking surprise there.
I binged my way through all of the Planet of the Apes films and caught up with some, I gotta say, mostly disappointing 2024 releases. That's what I've been up to. Lachlan has been setting up to set up for the entire week, so it didn't have that much time to watch some other stuff as well.
Yeah, I have no idea how the audio is going to sound. I have no idea how the video is going to turn out because I've just got one laptop and I can't see anything else. So hopefully it's all good. And the sun's about to go down, so lighting conditions are about to change. Finally, Apes together strong. But is Ape Kingdom strong? Apes maybe not strong when together. Themes of new ape movie about trying to get her being a human. Apes like no other apes. Intro part has gone on too long. Two apes, Ewan and Lachlan, talk about new Apes movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Stick around to hear that later on. But now, Monkey, roll that intro.
You mean me? Okay. I got you.
Dance, Monkey.
We are professional.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
If they roll the tapes later on, 2,000 years, well, I guess it wouldn't matter because we wouldn't be around anymore. But our ancestors, and they're like, look how not woke your great parents are. They're gonna lock our kids up and hunt them for sport. So we gotta be careful if we are offending monkeys here. Oh, sorry. Apes. Luckily, it's a bit of a different week. I'm about to head out to Gun. That's why I'm wearing the hat, to remind you that, hey, I've been there and I've bought a hat.
Flex.
Lachlan has a hat.
Week.
Actually, that's why I got you, gave you the hat that you're wearing right now. I brought that to you. And he's wearing it today, which... Nice of you, Lachlan. But yeah, you won't be joining me next week. You teased it. That's why next week there's not going to be an episode. We almost had something pre-prepared. With
and we still might. We don't know. We might still do an episode, but not with you.
It's a big if. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do a solo episode and see how that goes.
We'll see. Yeah, but we'll be back, I guess, the week after for sure with our full-on spoiler review for Furiosa. And I'll do a Gun recap. We'll have a separate video going over all of the stuff. I've just today, this morning, booked my first screening for the opening film and then tried to make my whole schedule. And Lachlan, like last year when you were hoarding tickets, because you can get multiple tickets, but you need to cancel them. Otherwise, you can't book anymore. You get banned from Gun in a way of ticket booking. I'm probably going to do the same because there's a ton of overlap, unfortunately. But it looks like I can, like last year, try to go to see all of the competition films. At least that's, I think, 22 or 23 films. So lots to talk about once I get back. But before that, we do have a trailer that dropped, the second one for Twisters. Lee Isaac Chung, the director of Minari, is doing a film here that is less like I guess that other film, because it's way more action centered and a lot of just one-liners are in there. So yeah, Lachlan, did this make you more or less excited?
If you feel it, chase it.
Chase it.
If you feel it, chase it. It's wild to see this trailer because I get hyped with this. I don't know why. I saw it in cinemas recently and I just got hyped for this. It just looks like a lot of fun. Dumb fun, which, if I'm honest, it seems to be the year of dumb fun. We just had Fall Guy. Fall Guy was a lot of fun. This also seems to be that movie that's just going to entertain. And I'm in. Sign me up.
Well, I also think that in The Fall Guy, we had Ryan Gosling, who can carry the dumb fun with his charisma. Less one-liners than Glenn Powell has in Twister so far from the trailer alone. But he's another one who I'm confident in that he can carry this. This like really over-the-top dumb character in a way. And that's why I'm also interested. It had one too many like one-line things and similar-ish setups where just another wreckage from the tornado that's like coming in. And it felt a bit samey for some reason in the trailer. I can't really say why that is. It had me a bit concerned that this might not hit as much. But I mean, there's two of them combining and... You got to go bigger in the sequel, and I guess they're literally doing that. They're like, two of them are combining.
I can't wait for the third. I just can't wait for the third and the fourth film in this series, and just more and more twisters.
Well,
it's
it
like
ultimately
Sharknado had
leads
to go
into
further.
Sharknado, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the fifth film.
But yeah, this is out July 19th, so we don't have to wait for it too long. I guess it will be out in the summer movie season. Speaking of dumb fun, The Boys is going into its fourth round. And I think this series, we discussed it pretty much with each season that has come out. I think, pretty sure we covered the second and the third season. Yeah, the show really has to make sure it stays fresh enough with that concept of it's just raunchier superhero, culture critique in a way or whatever it's trying to go for. And this trailer had me entertained. I think it had like a punchy, quick cut trailer, and I'm keen. We don't have to wait for that one like long at all. It's out June 13th. If this comes out weekly, I will be watching it weekly. I think The Boys hasn't let us down yet, and Gen V was also quite strong. So yeah, I'm kind of keen to see more of this universe. Okay, white boy.
I am definitely not as orange as I was. Oh yeah, definitely not as orange as I was. I realized that no one would have heard me when I said anything because this microphone only picks up stuff that's right here. So got to get used to that. This is gonna be such a fun episode.
You're fine, but yeah, what do you think about The Boys? Are you still in?
I am so in. It's the only reason I haven't cancelled my Amazon Prime subscription yet, because as soon as The Boys is done, I'm cancelling Amazon Prime. I fucking barely use it. My new thing is that if I don't watch 2 movies on that platform per month, for $10 a month, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's probably worth it. I'm probably going to do the Disney Plus first because I've just gotten all of the original Star Wars on 4K and I'm probably going to get the rest shortly anyway. So if I'm honest, if I don't watch 2 things on that platform per month, it's not worth the subscription. So for $10, I reckon Amazon Prime is probably safe. However, Disney Plus has just increased to $17.99 a month.
Yeah. I'm out. I've been out since May. I'm out.
I know you've been out. You don't give Mickey Mouse any of your money.
I'm out of the game. And the funny thing was, this week I watched all of the Planet of the Apes films, and they're all on Disney Plus.
They're all on Disney Plus.
I didn't go back though. There was another way. I found another way. Streaming services. I think Amazon doesn't really have a lot to offer, unfortunately, when it comes to
not at the moment
series beyond The Boys. And they also some superhero stuff. They have Invincible, but that's like second season didn't really hit the mainstream as well. And they have some movies that sometimes like hit quite well. Like Challenges is going to be on Amazon for a while, probably going to be an exclusive in the streaming thing, but once it comes on VOD, you can purchase it anywhere. So I don't know if that really matters. They're probably not going to do the exclusivity with that one. So I don't know. I think Amazon is going to be set regardless because they got the money.
Yeah. I think Amazon's interesting because they let you obviously have those other streaming services within Prime. So you can have Paramount Plus, you can have Shudder, you can have... It's got AMC Plus on here, Mubi you can get through it. So it's a cool streaming service if you want everything kind of combined. I know that Apple TV does something similar where you can set it all up and you can have them all sitting there. But I agree that there's
Disney
really
and Max.
not a lot on Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Disney and Max is also combining for summer in the States as a package. So it's.
Would you
Well,
not keep your
going
Amazon
back to
Prime
TV.
subscription because Past Lives is on it? Would you just keep it just so you can watch Past Lives whenever you want?
No, I wouldn't. Because
You
I
wouldn't
would
do
just
it?
get it
No?
on. No. I think I would get like a physical copy of it somehow that I can hold on to rather than access to a streaming service. Because like Uncut Gems got cut this week from Netflix. It's not on Netflix anymore.
But Saltburn is on Amazon. Would you not keep it for Saltburn?
I would fucking burn Saltburn. That's the fucking pour some salt into that wound. And
What about Outer
make it burn.
Range? I only
Outer
got
Range,
up to episode 3.
I got the screeners. I've had the screeners for the second season for a while. I haven't gotten past episode 2 yet of season 2, and I won't until I get back from Gun. But it's that's not really. They put a lot of money into it, but yeah, it's not really hitting. But yeah, enough from Amazon. A couple other trailers that we're not going to talk more in detail about, but I'll just mention it here, so you can go check them out yourself. Handling the Undead is out on May 31st by Neon. I caught this one at Sundance, and it's got Renate Reinsve in it. She was in The Worst Person in the World. That was my favorite film, I think in 2021, if I remember correctly. So when that came out. And this one is a bit disappointing. It's like a zombie film where nothing really happens much. It's a really slow film that wants to build the atmosphere, but I don't know if it succeeds. Lachlan, you caught the trailer here as well. I gave it 3 out of 5. I think I kind of, because there was a lot of talent in front of the camera that I liked, overrated a bit. It's probably like a 2.5 out of 5. It's like barely, I gotta say it's okay to see it, but did it get you interested?
The concept got me, but you're not selling me on it,
Me
mate.
too.
You're just you're
No.
trying to make me not watch it, are you?
Yes, kind of, yeah. Because I was sold on the concept as well, but then I was a bit let down. So it's a rare miss from Neon, in my opinion.
Okie dokie. Maybe I'll skip it.
And then the next one, Firebrand, Alicia Vikander. Who's the who's the king? I'm blanking on his name. Help me out.
Prince Charles, King Charles.
No, it's not Prince
No,
Charles.
Timothy Chalamet. He's also the
It's
king.
not. No, that's not
No?
helping.
Who are you talking about then?
I'm talking about Jude,
Michael Jackson?
the motherfucking Law. No, no. He's
also the king.
He's also the king. He's the man of the law. We watched this one last year in Gun, and it's now finally coming out on June 14th. You've seen this, and the trailer is out. How does it feel? People haven't seen this one, and you're the early one.
How many stars do you think I gave it when it came out, Ewan?
I think you gave it. I think I
in
gave it
Cannes.
3 stars. You might have been on 2.5, if I remember correctly.
I gave Firebrand 3 stars. So
Okay.
I wasn't 100% sold on it, but yeah, it's a slow thing. Doesn't really do anything crazy, but
Nothing super
looks
memorable
pretty.
as well. Yeah,
It looks
was
pretty. It's a very pretty one.
It was a pretty film. But yeah, nothing that you're gonna nothing that about each of their careers you're going to go back to. Oh yeah, remember when they did Firebrand? It's not going to be like that type of film,
Yeah.
even on the performance level for those two. And lastly, a trailer I don't want to talk about. There was a trailer. I haven't even watched it, but it came out, and it's, oh god, I hate this franchise.
I'm watching it right now.
Despicable Me for July 3rd. If this is your thing, then hey, go at it. Have a banana with it, whatever. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't know. There's not much else to say, but this is going to be out in the summer as well, and it's likely going to be the movie that makes the most money this year. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. As depressing as that is to me, Despicable Me 4. You gonna watch the whole trailer, or
I'll see how far I get. You're up
Should I
next
just
anyway,
wait?
aren't you? You've got the news.
I got the news,
handle the news. Yeah, you got the news.
Sure,
I'll just keep watching
all right,
this.
I'll keep him entertained. You know, he's in the kiddie box. He's watching the Minions while I go over the news and talk about The Office, which is getting a reboot, kinda. It's getting a sequel series or a spin-off series, which will follow the Dunder Mifflin documentary crew, not the characters from the original series. and is going to focus on a dying historic Midwestern newspaper and its volunteer reporters. You've seen The Office. We've all seen The Office collectively in memes over the last 10
Never
years
finished it.
on the internet. I don't think you're missing out on the last 2.5 seasons of the show, though.
Yeah, that's when Steve Carell leaves, right?
Once he leaves, the show goes downhill, and there's some new characters that get introduced that aren't great. I think in its heyday, it's its best parts are like season end of season 3, 4, and then 5. I think those is when it's strongest. But what do you think about this type of comedy style in just a different
Sounds like
setting?
the French Dispatch, but not French.
So journalism as your connection point.
Yep, that's all I got. Look, I don't think they necessarily needed to have this as quote unquote The Office reboot spin-off sort of situation. They could have just done it, and it would have been cool to see them hint to it. Hey, this is the same universe. There are characters that exist in this.
Exists, you know. So it's
obviously
it's not like
the only connection I can see between the two companies is like they provide the paper to this newspaper.
It's probably that,
and that's the connection, right? That's going to be the connection. So that's fine. There's the connection. I also just realized there's a lot of reverb in this room, so good luck with the edit, Ewan.
You're good. You're
but
good. You're overthinking this.
With this, I think that they're slapping on The Office reboot so that people tune into it. They know what they're getting themselves into. They're like, hey, it's going to be Office-esque, and we're going to have it set in the same area, the same universe, and it's like, cool, no worries. But I just fear that they're going to really go hard on this
Cameos?
Is The Office, and then, they go from there. So, hey, whatever. Mm-hmm. We'll get to it.
I think there's going to be like a lot of the people who were on The Office, like showing up in I don't know, like cameo roles and stuff like that. Or
they're gonna have to obviously, like, a couple of the cast have aged quite significantly in comparison to others. I think that John Krasinski can look pretty young still and could still play Jim without too much.
But they could just
hair and makeup.
Get older. I don't know.
I know they could just get older, but it depends when they're setting it, right? So if they're going to set it like current day and then, the characters are older, then sick, no worries. But I can see them doing cameos and they just don't feel quite natural in the sense that they're just really pushing it hard on, hey, look, here's this character that you love, but they're going to have to build this reputation of interesting characters to keep people engaged.
With a lot of the cast that's basically, with the ongoing popularity of The Office, just capitalized on that. Like, there's a ton of podcasts that a bunch of them do. I think it's only basically John Krasinski who's like very active to do his own stuff, and then obviously Steve Carell. The other people not so much. They pop up here and there, but they seem to be fine coasting off of maybe not only the money that they made, it's probably pretty good money, but also just having been a part of this. I don't know, we see it with like these kid stars who now all make their podcast, because every show needs a podcast where they go over the whole series and then they rediscuss it from having been there, but it's just the same product that they do over and over again, even with new shows where they do like straight with the episode you get a podcast episode. Like HBO does that a lot recently. I guess it's another way for cast members to be a part of the product even after it's aired, but I hope they don't touch as much like connections with the older cast, because I don't know if that's necessary, and also like calling it The Office, probably not a great idea, but probably better for the SEO to get eyes on it. But that's that for The Office. Then there's some Game of Thrones news. We get the new season of the why am I blanking on the name? I'm out of it today as well.
House of Dragon.
House of the Dragon. Yes, thank you.
It's all right. I'm on it. I've had so much time to think about stuff because my brain has been processing how this wire of mess is making it back to this computer.
This new show that they're doing is set to come out next year, I think, or the year after. And it's going to be a 6-episode series and an adaptation of the Hedge Knight, a novella that has 160 pages, so a smaller book compared to some of the other films that George R.R. Martin writes, were like 700 to 900 pages long. And this one is going to be called Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And it's going to be directed by Owen Harris, who did 3 of the more popular Black Mirror episodes, Be Right Back, San Junipero, and Striking Vipers. Is going to be directing half of the first half of the series. It's about Sir Duncan the Tall and his diminutive Squire Egg, set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne and the memory of the last dragon has not yet passed from living memory. Great destinies, powerful foes, and dangerous exploits all await the improbable and incomparable friends. So a bit of a body cop, a bit more lighthearted take on the Game of Thrones universe. Lachlan, I know you don't read, so you probably haven't read the story or any of the Game of Thrones
I was trying
stuff.
to read the summary there, but I was struggling to get through it, so I'm glad that you read it out to me. Thank you.
You're good. Big words there, but are you interested in something more from the Game of Thrones franchise?
I'm interested in, and it's gonna be interesting because we're gonna come back around to this with Kingdom, but I'm interested in smaller scale stuff set in the Game of Thrones universe. I think the Iron Throne fight is an interesting one, and we had that with the Game of Thrones series. We're having that with House of Dragon, and as much as we like to say Game of Thrones was always really interesting, it was never the main focus of getting the Iron Throne. That was never the most entertaining part of Game of Thrones. It was always the other aspects, the smaller stories that were more interesting on that TV show than who actually sits on the Iron Throne. Like, cool, sick, it's Cersei. It's no longer Cersei. It was Daenerys. Now it's no longer Daenerys. Oh, look, it's the Mad King. It's not the Mad King. Like, no one ever really gave a fuck about who's on the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones as hardcore as they did in House of Dragon. House of Dragon definitely does that a lot more with who should sit on the Iron Throne. They did it a lot with the first season, and they're going to be doing it with the second season. So I'm more interested in seeing something smaller scale that doesn't have that big showy, like crazy stuff that House of Dragon and Game of Thrones actually are doing. So I'm interested. I'm keen. Let's see if they don't fuck it up.
And we said that with House of the Dragon, and then that was like one of the best shows of the year. It surprised me. I'm very
Remember how
keen
we were
for the
like
second
super
season.
positive on, I don't know if you were positive, but I was more positive on Lord of the Rings, and then I was less positive on House of Dragon, and then it fully switched, and I was like, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power sucks, and House of Dragon is one of the best TV shows this year. The only thing I fear is obviously, is it the Black Mirror creator, or is it just the Black Mirror?
Just the director.
Like a Black Mirror director. Okay, cool.
For
Which
3
episodes?
Be Right Back.
Striking Vipers. Oh, okay. Yeah.
San Junipero is like regarded as one of the best
one.
ones.
Yeah.
Striking Vipers not so much, but it had like it's just big actors in it as well. I guess they all kind of do in a way, but Be Right Back is the one that I don't remember.
I'm also searching it right now. Oi, it's
it's another one that I quite liked. So he had the ability to pull like some interesting people in his cast with Haley Atwell and Domhnall Gleeson. I think this idea was the one where she loses her husband and then she gets replaced by a robot that has all of the memories. And I think in its concept, there was so much more to be explored with that. And I think it kind of cut short and does the Black Mirror-ish thing where it needs a conclusion, when there's more to explore. Same with San Junipero, it just executed it on that better. I think like he's a capable director to tackle this. I assume because people have been, I've been hearing Sir Duncan the Tall and Egg the Squire for like all the while Game of Thrones was still on. People kept talking about these two because apparently, even though it's only 160 pages, maybe they get mentioned all over the place, but there seems to be a strong fan base for these characters. And hopefully there's a bit of substance there as well, and it's actually quite entertaining and funny. It seems to be some buddy cop, two people just like wandering the lands of Westeros, which could be a ton of fun.
So if it's a buddy cop, does that mean we can expect
not buddy cop.
Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson to play the two characters?
It's like they get off the horse and it does a 360 around it as Michael Bay style. Then, well, speaking of franchises that we love and universes, Blade Runner is getting another series on Prime Video with Blade Runner 2099. Apart from the films, I know there was like a lead up with the short films before 2049 came out, and there was other stuff that I didn't really see. I think there was like an animated thing. I don't know if that was on Netflix or where that was, or also on Prime. Didn't watch that, but Michelle Yeoh will lead the series. We're both big fans. When we did our brackets for Ridley Scott and for Denis Villeneuve, both times, the winner, spoiler here, of both of those brackets was a Blade Runner film. Or at least a finalist in the Ridley Scott one. I don't remember if we went with something. I think we went with Blade Runner. But yeah, Lachlan, what do you think about this? Another entry in the Blade Runner universe.
Yeah, I am okay with not having a Blade Runner 2049 sequel. I know that a lot of people were disappointed in the financial failings of 2049, but I'm actually okay with not having a direct sequel to it and just letting it be its own thing, similar to how Blade Runner itself, the original, can be left alone, and the 2049, whilst it does connect to the same universe and it's a sequel, it's not necessarily like you have to see the original to see this. I'm hoping this does the same thing. I know that right now there's not much known about it other than it's set 50 years past Blade Runner 2049, and that's the only thing we know about it, is it's in the same universe, it's 50 years later, and Michelle Yeoh's leading.
And I think apparently is at least Variety reports that the plot is going to be about Michelle Yeoh is playing a character, Olven, a replicant near the end of her life. That's really all we know about it,
Which plays into, obviously Blade Runner, the original, has got that as a major plot point, and it is one of the best character elements in that film. 2049 doesn't explore that at all. Well, not at all, but very lightly. So to have them come back to that would be super exciting, and I'm hoping it's just like a 1 season, maybe 2 season thing if they really want to extend that story out.
It's a miniseries.
If it's a miniseries, then sweet. What is it? 6 episodes, 7 episodes, maybe. They just explore this replicant exploring life. I'd be keen. I'd be super keen. But there's not a heck of a lot known right now.
Look, the thing is, didn't Amazon spend so much money to get the rights to do Lord of the Rings? And it didn't do the numbers that it should have for the reason.
Stop.
Like,
Don't
Blade
do
Runner
this to me.
is supposed to flop, It's supposed to flop. That's just in its nature. So it makes sense that they spend a ton of money on it. Like, if this series is cheap and doesn't pull off the aesthetic, that would be disappointing.
The key thing is that it flops, but it's also a really good film or really good entry into the universe.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Rings of Power is actually a piece of shit entry that was really...
I'm saying
seen
this,
by a lot of people.
Give it a lot of budget is what I'm saying, even though we know it's not going to make the numbers that it needs to justify it. For Rings of Power, we got a shit product. For this, we want a good one.
But also with a lot of money given to it.
Yeah.
Isn't it like the most expensive TV show ever made?
Yeah. I think Don't fact check that. It just is, because it's a ton of money wasted, because no one is going to tune into season 2. No one is going to care, especially because Amazon only has the TV rights to the Lord of the Rings franchise, and the film's rights are with Warner Brothers, and they are working on a new film. They're really surprising. The news broke yesterday for us. In 2026 is when they have the release date set. I'm going to call cap on that one. I don't see this movie being out before 2027.
Ain't happening.
At the earliest. But it's going to be called The Hunt for Gollum at the moment, and Andy Serkis is returning, as well as directing. And Lachlan, you're the bigger Lord of the Rings fan between the two of us? What are you thinking?
I am confused. I'm not super confused, but I'm not sure why they're doing a Gollum movie.
Same. Because the game was so great.
And
I played the game. I wrote a review for the game. That game was the most vile shit I've ever played.
I get the obvious scare into doing because I don't know the scale of what this film's going to be. I don't know if there's a story already behind it. I don't know if there's a narrative they've already have planned in this universe that they're going to adapt for Gollum, or if it's going to be an original story set in that universe.
From what I've heard, Lachlan, they found an old script of I think the Two Towers, and in between the pages of the Two Towers they found a fat stack of money, and they were like, here we go. Another one. That's the inspiration for
Sweet. So the question I have is, okay, Warner Brothers has the rights to make this movie. The Warner Brothers execs are obviously we don't hate them per se. Hate's a really strong word.
I do hate them. Pretty
but
sincerely.
We think they're fucking idiots sometimes and make some really stupid decisions. Do you think they all went to the cinema and saw Venom Let There Be Carnage and go, we should give Andy Serkis the rights to make the Lord of the Rings movie, and let's make sure and directly afterwards they watched the Planet of the Apes trilogy and went, oh fuck, we forgot that he did motion capture. Let's give him the directing rights and let him play Gollum again, because last time they made a movie with Andy Serkis directing it. It was quite good. And then you've obviously got The Jungle Book as well that Andy Serkis also directed and is also beloved. It's also higher rated than what Venom is, but you know.
Yeah.
Do I think this is a great idea? No. Do I think they should do something else? Yes. Are they going to commit it to 2026, Ewan? Are they going to get it out? Yes or no?
No. Fuck
right?
no.
So
no.
They definitely could do something better than what they're planning on doing.
What I found funny in this article was that they're trying something, they want to go into a different direction than they've done before. And I kept reading the article and it was like, it's called Hunt for Gollum. I was like, what the fuck? You're not doing something
At
new.
least they're not committing to a trilogy. At least they're not going, hey, Peter Jackson, come back, make a trilogy in the next 3 years for us, and fucking him over and not giving him enough time to make the Hobbit movies. So at least they're thinking ahead slightly and going, okay, let's not do a trilogy because that's not working out for us. Let's not do a TV show because that's not working out for us. Let's do a single movie about a character. Let's pick a random character. They threw a dart on the dartboard. Gollum, sweet. Let's get someone to direct. Threw a dart on the dartboard. Oh, God, we're going to get Christopher Nolan. No, we already got rid of him. We're going to give him money to do something else. Okay, cool. Let's go Andy Serkis then. It's a really interesting idea, and I'm not going to the movie could be great. It could be Hunt for Gollum could be the greatest movie of all time. We have no idea. Right now, though, doesn't sound like it.
Peter Jackson returning to produce could be promising, but it's also not a quality control seal that, only good things have come out of it. But inspiration for it, for the first trilogy, we have a trilogy of books. For the second trilogy, we had one book. And I feel like for this one, they do have a note written on a napkin by David Zaslav that just wrote down Lord of the Circles and do something. He couldn't even get the title right. Just as the basis for it.
There is The Hunt for Gollum on IMDb from 2009, which is I think it's a fan-made movie released
Based
for free on the
something?
internet. There we go. The great events of the War of the Ring are about to unfold, and the priority for Strider and Gandalf is to keep the ring secret. Sauron is preparing to unleash his armies, and Gollum is creeping around Middle-earth with crucial knowledge about the ring's location. He must be found. Okay, cool, sweet.
Wait,
so
I thought that was the basis of the game. And the game was horseshit. It was so bad. The story for it as well. I thought that was before, and he has some knowledge I don't know. I don't remember the game. I also didn't finish it.
So Ian McKellen, is he coming back? Yes or no?
I don't think so. No,
I think he'll come back.
You think?
I think they would. I think they'll give him.
Isn't he he's so old?
Yeah, but he can. Okay, so he's old.
84.
Sure, doesn't mean he can't act. Oh my
Bro
God,
was
man was
born in the
born in
30s.
1939. Jesus.
Yeah.
He is...
He's so old,
Oof.
ancient.
Okay, so they're definitely going to get him in because
Scan him.
he doesn't have much time left. I don't know if he'll make it to 2026.
It's Gandalf the Grayscale.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Just
I reckon they'll get him back. They're going to get him back, and they're going to let him play Gandalf again. We're not going to have, because I don't know when this is set. This could be set like a good 100 years beforehand. At least Gandalf is still kicking around 100 years beforehand. Actually,
Again,
when
you
would this
know
be
more
set?
about this than I do. I have no clue.
Okay, let's just again, Warner Brothers. We haven't had the best relationship. Ewan has been quite vocal about it. I'm quite neutral about it, if I'm honest.
Little bro Warner
except,
has been
like,
annoying me.
20 minutes ago when I said you're fucking idiots. But what I will say is this has potential to not be shit. So just don't make it shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's with, everything we talked about today. Office, Game of Thrones, Blade Runner. I skipped over 2 other things that I thought we were done with news, but we have 2 more things. All with franchise stuff. And, there's casting news about other things that we could include here, but it's just also the sheer amount of reboots, spin-off, and sequels is in just 1 week.
Do you reckon you could do a speed run of all the casting news?
Was that, yeah, I guess there's no, I don't have it open here if there's any other casting stuff. Other than like 2 more things that we got. First look at David
Have we been
Corenswet
recording for 40 minutes? Oh my God.
I know. I looked at it and was like, Jesus Christ, we talked about news for a bit. Let's get
Okay, speed run it.
But yeah, the first look, David Corenswet as Superman. Lots of reactions. He looks buff. He looks big.
He's
he
really
looks
slow at
swole.
putting on his suit.
And he's got the underpants as well. Yeah, he's going to be slow at that. Yeah. But he doesn't have the flash thing that just puts it on for him. But yeah, looks great. I think first looks are important for the super nerds on the internet to give their "this is okay, you can go forward with doing this" type of approval that I don't know if they need it, but it's good to have. And I feel like they got it. Great stuff there. Then the director of Pig and the upcoming Quiet Place Day 1, Michael Saronsky, is set to direct a Robin Hood film, The Death of Robin Hood, with Hugh Jackman and Jodie Comer set to star. The film follows Robin Hood grappling with his past after a life of crime and murder whilst in the hands of a mysterious woman after being badly injured. And seems like a smaller scale movie for a property that a director like him can focus more on the character stuff. And to me, this kind of sounds interesting. But yeah, Lachlan, are you interested in The Death of Robin Hood?
Yes.
Cool. All right, that's going to be it for the news then. Let's get to the stuff that we've been watching, or I guess mainly what I've been watching this week.
Throw to me.
Lachlan, what have you been up to?
I've done bugger all this week. I'm sorry, I've been super busy. I played 30 minutes on my Steam Deck, and that's pretty much it, of Stray, and it's about cats, and so far so good. Other than that, I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and that's it.
Bro has touched grass and not watched media, which is
I'm gonna
all
double
good
check.
by me.
I didn't log anything this week, did I? How could I forget? I watched Late Night with the Devil. I forgot.
Oh, what do you think?
Yeah, 3 stars. It went for not for too long. It doesn't really do much. It took a really long time to get into the film. Other than that, I love the style. I love David Dull. What's his name? David.
I can't say his name. It's too
Dash
long.
Malshin?
It's too difficult.
Malshin? Yeah, sure.
Sounds, yeah.
David Dull. David Dashed Malshin. I
Big
can't
D.
pronounce his name. He's great. He did a fantastic job keeping me in the entire time, and I think that at least the second half of the film was interesting, and it did save it for me, but at a point I was sitting at like 2 stars, and then I brought it up to 3 with the ending because I just found it a lot of fun. But I just felt like I had to wait for this film a little bit because of all the AI stuff that came out about it. I wanted to kind of just be clean, none of that in the front of my mind. And if I'm honest, I didn't even notice it until I went back and sort of ran through the scenes that people were talking about, and I went, oh, okay, now I can see it. Whoop-de-fucking do.
I honestly didn't notice it on my first watch at all. It didn't.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not that big a deal.
3 stars. I would happily watch another one of these again. I thought they were actually, I thought it was a little bit of fun. But yeah, it's all right.
Was right. Yeah, and that's it. You played Stray, the cat game. I do have a cat. I left my door open so my cat can go in and outside of my apartment, and each time he comes in, he goes like meow, just so he can announce that he's back in the room. He's got to let me know.
Just so you know, Discord muted you
I know.
meowing.
I'm aware.
So
they're
it just
anti-furry.
It was so funny.
Anyways, I watched some films from 2024. Most of them were kind of shit, so I'm just gonna tell you that the shit, I don't need to go into more detail than that. But the one good thing that I watched this week was Turtles All the Way Down, the adaptation of the novel from John Green. It's actually quite heartwarming. It's cheesy, but it's cheesy in the best kind of way. Then Jerry Seinfeld's movie Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart story, incredibly unfunny. It's so much boomer humor, and then it's just no. I didn't laugh a single time. Arcadian, the new one with Nick Cage, where he lives in where they live in an apocalyptic world where there's insects that have mutated and essentially like attacking them, and he's trying to keep his family alive with the two teenage sons that he has. And I was mostly bored by this one. I didn't really love it that much, but I hear some other people liked it more than I did. I was just kind of on it. Then Humane from Caitlin Cronenberg, daughter of David Cronenberg. They do love themselves a bit of horror. This one is basically in a future world where people have to the incentive to kill themselves, and for that get money for it because the Earth can't sustain the amount of the population that it has. And essentially they're in a dilemma where they have to I guess kill someone that doesn't want to, that type of deal. It's not something new in any way. It also wasn't the most intriguing. I thought this was kind of alrightish. Then Garfield, I only watched this because it was straight up the press screening of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it was so bad. It was so horrible. It was like Sony can do illumination just fine. They have a bunch of unnecessary needle drops. It's painfully unfunny. The base thing of Garfield has never been good. It's not like there's a Tom and Jerry type of entertainment thing. It's all the jokes are like, oh, is it Monday today? And that's the level of joke you're going to get the whole film. It's just really, 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 really bad. I would, even if you have kids and you want to go see this, say, no, go see something else. Just, yeah, not Garfield. Then Prom Dates was basically a mix-up between Booksmart and Superbad. It's got a Nepo baby in it, who was also in the High School Musical series. Not great. Skip on that. Founders Day, another slasher film that was bafflingly bad. And I just kind of kept watching because it was such a train wreck. Tales of the Empire. Now, this might interest you a bit, Lachlan. We talked about Tales of the Jedi, I think a year or two ago when that came out. That one was promising because it was focusing on Ahsoka and Doku? Or what's his name?
Count Dooku.
Dooku, yeah. And this is more Count Poo-Poo with Barriss Offee and Morgan Elsbeth, who I'm not familiar with, but maybe they're more relevant for I guess people who've seen the Clone Wars series, but I found this to be quite lackluster and boring. Do you have any interest on watching the Tales of the Empire series?
I do. Obviously, Morgan Elsbeth is in the live action stuff as well.
Yeah.
Most recently. Who was the other character in this as well?
Barriss Offee.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I didn't know both of these characters either. I was like, I had to Google to find out who Morgan was.
No, she was a Padawan that turned to the dark side in the Clone Wars and had a fight with, I think, off memory, I'm pretty sure she hurt Ahsoka or did something to Ahsoka, and Anakin went full rage on her. This is animated, yeah? This is an animated series?
Yeah, it also looks pretty bad, but that's mainly just the style of the Clone Wars series.
How many episodes are there?
It's 6, and the first 3 are on Morgan, the second 3 are on Barriss.
Look, I think that they really stuck a really good hit with Tales of the Jedi because it was with characters that we do love, and these are really just expanding on ideas of characters that exist, but not really. I mean, people probably do like them, but not as much as they like Dooku or like Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And it took a while for the whole Star Wars community to actually like Ahsoka. Also, I switched to a beanie because the hat was covering and making the shadows look worse. And now I just look like I have round black eyes because of the shadows, and I don't know what looks good and what looks bad.
Someone
at this
reassure
point.
this man that it's fine.
The lighting
that
is just
fine.
It's not fine, man. I'm getting mad. So yeah, look, I will watch this. I will see if I enjoy it after the first 2 episodes, and if I don't, then maybe I will stop.
It's also really short. I think the episodes are like 14 minutes per episode or something like that. It's really short.
Is it following the path into the dark side? Is that what that's what the TV show goes
it's basically it's similar to Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi, where they show them at different parts in their lives. At least that I tuned out of it. I honestly wasn't paying 100% attention.
So next question. Everyone who's listening to audio, mute. Everyone who's watching visually, turn your eyes off and look away. Give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Is Darth Vader in this? Okay, cool. I'm going to watch it. Wait. Does he do anything cool? Okay, get fucked. I might not watch it then. So here we are after all of that.
Yeah, I think it's in this episode. But
okay, sweet.
Anyways, well, I think it's pretty obvious now. How do we tell the people who are just watching on audio to unmute now, Lachlan? You've sent them into mute hell. They're never going to come back.
I don't think more than 2 sentences ahead.
Anyways, I watched The Dry as well because we were this close to talking about The Dry 2 that has just come out on VOD, but I guess we'll get to that once I'm back from Cannes. The Dry, though, is a really solid adaptation of a mystery crime thing, and David, what's his name? David. It's David. David Banner Eric. It's Eric. No?
Trying to figure out who you were talking about. It is Eric Banner. But Eric David Banner sounds way funnier. But no, his name is Eric Banner.
Eric Banner. He just has the perfect Australian name. Like, can you say his name again? Eric Banner. Banner? Yeah, just the way that Australians say like A's. It's perfect. To me, I don't know. It's the perfect Australian name. The film is pretty entertaining though. I liked it, it's fine. Nothing crazy though. Like not an incredibly well-made mystery crime thriller. Because we've seen this type of stuff done before, but the setting in Australia. By the way, is what it's
I did say a few weeks ago that I was going to give you some quintessential Australian movies to watch.
Yeah.
I am making that list, by the way. I will get it to you, but I didn't want to give it to you before Cannes because I know you had so many movies to watch beforehand.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a ton of movies to watch over the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping by the time you're back and you've done all of your coverage, I can give you this list.
Yeah.
Aussie August. Ooh.
How about that?
I like the sound of it. Okay. By August, that gives me more time.
All right. Sounds good. I did
that gives me time to watch some of these.
That sounds good, yeah. I did only watch one gun film this week in preparation for the festival, The Sisters Brothers, which, if you look at the cast, is actually quite crazy. It's from Jacques Audiard, who has a new film playing in Cannes. He also had another one that I quite enjoyed, Paris 13th District. And his new film is going to be Emilia Perez with Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez. So that's going to be interesting. I might even have the chance to interview him. Fingers crossed for that. But The Sisters Brothers, John C. Reilly, Joaquin Phoenix, Riz Ahmed, Jake Gyllenhaal. In a Western, I know Kevin would be very pleased with me that I caught up with this one. I thought this film was way less of a standard Western than you'd expect it to be because it has those players in it. I think it underutilizes them, but it knows that it's underutilizing these actors. So in a lot of moments where you feel like they should have more to the story, these very capable actors give them a bit more than there is on the page. Which made it to me a very enjoyable movie by the end. It's also very morbid and very depressing. And in the week of watching all of the Planet of the Apes films, this was actually like the perfect setting because all of those films are also incredibly depressive. So I can recommend The Sisters Brothers, and we're going to talk about Planet of the Apes with the new film in a bit, so I'm not going to talk about every single one of the films that I watched, 10 films of the franchise that I watched this week. We have a separate video where we're going to talk about the franchise a bit more. Maybe I'll get into the separate films there. Go check that out, but I do have a ranked list that you can go check out for the franchise, link below. But with that, Lachlan, let's finally get to our review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Several generations in the future, following Caesar's reign, apes are now the dominant species and live harmoniously, whilst humans have been reduced to living in the shadows. As a new tyrannical ape leader builds his empire, one young ape undertakes a harrowing journey that will cause him to question all that he has known about the past and to make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike.
Oof, what an epic synopsis for this
Long
Wes
one.
Ball directed. I went with the longer one because I think the one that I saw on IMDb was too non-descriptive for the actual plot. I think this one
It's
isn't
given
perfect
since this is the
either.
longest film in the series.
Yes, by a long shot. I think. Well, I think the first one is like 2 hours. No, not by a long shot. I think the third one is about like 2 hours 20 as well. But this one is 2 hours and 25 minutes. And I think it's the one where you can feel it the most. Its runtime is definitely felt in places. So far, it's been received quite positively. At least for these ape films, maybe the bar has been set so high with especially Dawn and War that you'd expect maybe a bit more than a 3.6 on Letterboxd, 7.4 on IMDb, and a 64 on Metacritic. That's the one, like, maybe the audiences will show up for this one, but the critics seem to be kind of mixed on it so far. It's the 10th film in the Planet of the Apes franchise. There was also a television series that then got broken apart into 5 movies, 2 episodes per movie. There was an animated series at one point. There's countless comics and all of that other stuff. It's
Sound
a very
like Star Wars.
It in a way it does, and it's not as depressing and not as, hey, at the end of the film you get medals for your achievements, but everyone is dead, sort of thing. You know, is what you get in this universe, which is maybe why recently this franchise has been a bit better, because we are collectively in a state where maybe we gravitate to more towards the more real stuff that just feels like, oh shit, yeah, our world is fucked, a bit more than the space soap opera that just seems to be, glorifying its older, greener pastures. But there's a lot of green in this one. Hopefully, there's also going to be a lot of green at the box office. It costs $160 million. That's, I think, a tiny bit less than the second one cost. But Dawn, by the way, when I say the second, first, or third one, I mean the new trilogy. There's also the Tim Burton film from 2001, and then there's the 5 films that were made in the 6-year span from 1968 to 74. And Lachlan, as someone who recently also rewatched that Matt Reeves, and I'm blanking on the other directors, films, that trilogy, and is now jumped ahead a couple of centuries to this one. What did you think of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
I was a little bit shocked, if I'm honest. Rupert Wyatt is the director of the first Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes film from 2011. And if you didn't hear the previous episode where I actually talked about me watching War and Dawn for the first time, Dawn and then War in that order, I actually had a weird relationship with them. The reason I actually haven't seen them is I never really vibed with them when I watched them a few years ago, and I just had to kind of sit down. It's why I've never watched the originals, because if I couldn't get through this, what at the time was pretty highly rated Planet of the Apes, how am I going to make it through the Planet of the Apes that are getting like 1 or 2 stars or have like below like a 40 on Rotten Tomatoes listing?
Yeah.
So I decided to not watch the original stuff, and I was thinking about this today, maybe I should go back and watch them. But when I first watched Dawn and War this year, I watched them in like a really good format, 4Ks, and I had a spectacular time. I had a really good time.
Yeah.
So I can kind of rate this in between all of those films. What I love about those films, especially the Dawn and War, is where they take the film, where they take the characters and the scale that they set, because that's sort of at least with Dawn, which is I think the most loved one of them all, and I think War has a bit of a love-hate relationship with fans, but Dawn sets this really good bar for what a Planet of the Apes movie can do. I think it's complicated. I think it's got interesting characters, and I think that it has a grand enough scale that doesn't feel like it's blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
War has this really big sort of action piece, and I think that it's a little bit too complicated. I think that with this first trilogy of Planet of the Apes, it's humans versus apes, but they do a humans versus human plot line, and I think they shouldn't have done that. I think they should have just left it as humans versus apes, and I think that what they did with Caesar's family was really interesting and really exciting, and that's what I love about this new film. It is family, but it is not blown out to this random big scale, and it is, for the most part, and I say for the most part, but I will say predominantly, ape versus ape, which is where I really hope this trilogy that they're kind of, well, not trilogy, but next series of Planet of the Apes movies are going to be more internal, because my favorite theme about this film is the cycle of violence that whatever the predominantly dominant species on this planet is, always goes in this circle of violence, and that's what you kind of get with these characters. So I was excited that the film didn't really go to the extreme levels of action that War did and kept it still quite contained like Dawn, but had really, really, really good characters. And I think that's great because now they've had generations to learn, you can have more complex apes. And I think that's the problem I had with the not older films, but the previous films. The apes don't really have that great of a conversation piece. But with this film, you have two of the greatest ape performances in the entire series, which is Proximus Caesar, played by Kevin Durand, and Raka, which is Peter Macron, I think it is, Peter Macron. Macron. Those two characters are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And they created this film for me. So I'm positive, but what are your brief thoughts before we get into more specifics?
We're gonna keep it spoiler free for a bit, and then we're gonna dive deeper into it. I think what you kind of alluded to with the conflict of if they do sequels, which if it does well enough, I think this is going to get sequels because it has a rich enough world and it does set up some stuff. Although I think this type of stuff that they set up, I don't know if it's going into the direction that he wanted to go in. I'm also in favor of focusing more on ape versus ape conflict, because that's not really anything that we've gotten so far out of this franchise. I think it would be kind of a new direction, and with the technology being where it is, I think it would definitely be possible. I think the last one actually that they did, it's not war, it's battle for the Planet of the Apes, which is the conclusion of the first 5 films, is more of like a conflict between two apes, but it's also regarded as the worst one other than like the remake from Tim Burton, and it's not a great film, but it does have that, like, there's a potential there for a better film. And I hope with the technology that they have here that someone like Proximus Caesar, who carries the name of Caesar, right, a character that we're very familiar with, that you can feel and believe the legacy and the impact that he has for this whole universe. It's their God, it's their more their Jesus, less their God, and how that can be used and misconstrued and abused in a way to control other people. And I think using those different types of establishments of civilizations that grow decades after, centuries after someone has long past, and the only memory is like what's written down, all of those like topics that it touches on, you wouldn't expect them to be in a movie like this, or they would be way cheesier. There's moments of exposition where there's clearly there to catch us up on whoever has not seen the recent trilogy. But other than that, I think it offers a lot. And to me, the weakest point was when it needed to stay with the human characters. I just wanted them to focus solely on the ape relationships. I think that Owen Teague, who plays Noah, also gives a good performance, and I'm interested to follow his character more. Although it feels like Freya Allen's May is someone who steps a bit more into one of the lead roles, a bit more than I would want her to. But I don't know how you felt about like the different I guess weights that are given to the characters and the amount of screen time that they get. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so obviously this main character Noah has to have some sort of charismatic aspect to him, because without having an interesting main character like Caesar, you've really got to rely on the other characters. And for me, I felt like the other characters were Proximus Caesar and Raka, who outshined Noah. But I think that Noah did a pretty good job. Or at least, sorry, I should say Owen Teague played a really good job developing this character, because out of the three, I think that physically the physical performance from the character Noah was the strongest of all of them. I felt that the expressions in Noah's face said more than the dialogue that was said. And to be fair, this film
that was always the case with this franchise, though. That's been its strong suit.
Well, what I was about to say is characters like Proximus Caesar and Raka are actually quite well spoken. Raka especially, and that's why I found this film quite interesting, because we've got these characters who can now have quite complex conversations out loud, and it's a really interesting juxtaposition seeing apes have deep conversations, and I think that really develops this performance a lot more. And I mean, like a great example of like motion capture as a piece of art is super complex already, because you have to capture the performance of the actors, and then you also have artists going in and taking that performance and editing it as well. But if you think about it, when you see these characters, there's always that sort of weird, just not exactly there yet technology. What I don't know what the correct term is called off the top of my head.
The Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley, where it's like it's almost there, but it's not. But if you think of like the Lord of the Rings, like Gollum, like some of the best sequences are when Gollum's just talking to himself. And as cool as these apes are when they perform and act, when they're talking, it's sort of like oof. But when they are actually having quite complex conversations, you're kind of drawn in a little bit just from the weird nature of what it is. So for me, Noah was quite simple with their dialogue, because in this sort of world, well, not in this sort of world, but in this world, you have different tribes, which I found really cool. Eagle tribe focuses around, picking an eagle, and they've got all their little mythologies that they've got themselves of, well, not mythologies, but like rituals that they do. And I was kind of excited to see more of this within the kingdom of different tribes having their different things, to see how far they've come over these generations. That's fine that they didn't have this. They hopefully will have movies to set that up. But for me, the performance of Noah really came through in the actual performance of itself. And I found that most of the emotion seen on the face was better than what Proximus Caesar had and Raka had. But I just found Raka and Caesar's performance more engaging, just from the complexity of what they were saying vocally, but also physically themselves were quite exciting characters.
So I think we can get to spoilers to maybe talk a bit more about it. I think one notable thing about Proximus Caesar is that he shows up in the film pretty late. I think that's another like minus point that I would give it, because also I'm a bit what do you call speciesist? I guess not racist, but I wasn't sure. There's like the one lead bad guy, one lead like muscle guy for Caesar, and it's not Caesar who goes into the camp. Yeah, the gorilla who goes in and fights them. And I was like, hold up, yeah, different characters. Okay, I got it. Because I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but I just thought that they all look the same. But no, I didn't see the through line of an antagonist really coming through. They were more of this instance of hey, here's someone attacking our village, and we slowly get to learn more of it. And here's all of the information you need about this character now, which is fine. I think in the context of this universe, the way it's told is how Noah experiences it. So he doesn't really know much, and then he knows it all once he's there, and he gets all the context. I think that's the good storytelling. I just thought that we stay with May, which is fine. We establish her, and then they build trust. She starts talking, all of that, and then it's her plan. And what I really like about this film is the ambiguity that comes from them trusting her and helping her, and how she slowly has to make the decisions to fuck them over in a way. Like long term, she's not in for the friendship with Noah and Raka. She ultimately just wants those weapons gone, and is solely on the side of, hey, humanity, I'm fighting for them, not for the apes. And she's pretty direct about that towards them as well, which makes Raka that much more of an interesting character, because he, to a fault, also is carrying on the legacy of Caesar as someone who's maybe overly religious would do, to hold on to something even in a place where it's not logical to go there, but you want to hold on to your beliefs and you can't really shake them too much. And compassion is like sometimes in a place where there shouldn't be, for your own preservation. And I found those complexities in a movie like this. I was like, damn, this movie is making me think stuff, and it's just not what you expect. So I was pleasantly surprised in the directions it went story-wise in the last third. Was a bit let down when she ultimately goes back in that like very last, or one of the last scenes, to the bunker, and there's more humans that can talk. Because I sent this in our group chat after I saw it. I felt like it was backtracking stuff that it did in War, where the direction it went with the humans was more into the original trilogy, because this is all still a prequel to the original Planet of the Apes from the 60s. And humans don't talk there. The way that they establish it there is that like someone who's basically time traveling from the past into the future, and can that way talk and see like the different dynamics. And then the way that they do it, then that they interlink with each other, is through time travel. So it's a bit like big sci-fi terms just to justify the premises, but it's never that like they went back and they start talking again. It's always a point of evolution. And it doesn't really make sense to me that some humans just kind of over decades or over centuries were able to stay clear of getting infected, when someone like Woody Harrelson's character in the last one in War was so set on killing everyone who comes by who could carry the virus, and then getting infected himself. I just don't see it, and it just feels like they're leading towards another conflict between apes and humans, and it's not what I'm wanting to see from this series.
So you've made some really good points that I agree with. I totally thought that all the humans were infected with that virus in the live action trilogy we just had. And I thought that essentially it set up that all humans are dead, or essentially will turn into these creatures of some kind, these non-verbal creatures. And I really liked that, because it was just like, humanity's doomed, wicked. And that's when May started talking in the film. I got a little bit disappointed, because I thought, they're taking away from that original trilogy's impact of how hard it will affect the human race. And then at the end of the film, you obviously have her going into that bunker, not going into the bunker, actually staying out of the bunker, which makes them obviously fear that the virus is still there, and May actually might have the virus and be completely buggered herself, but has just essentially helped humanity connect and reconnect to everyone else around the world that's not infected, hopefully. But I was happy to eventually ignore that, just with the add-on themes of Caesar says, apes together strong, ape does not kill ape, and how each, not group, but essentially we see three groups of Proximus Caesar, Raka, who I can't remember if it was like the cult of Caesar or whatever they called themselves, as people who follow Caesar's teachings as what it was meant to be, and then Eagle Clan, who completely ignores the history of Caesar essentially. But I really enjoyed the idea of Caesar no longer being a person, Caesar being an idea, and that idea being broken down into what people want to read it as bringing people together, but hurting apes or following it the way it is, apes being strong and ape does not hurt ape, to the point where Rucker hurts someone and goes, Caesar will forgive that, you know? And also clans like Eagle Clan, not maybe, again, they're quite unclear about whether the elders chose to ignore it or decided to just actually not know anything about it and just not inform anyone. But I enjoyed the complexity of where Caesar's ideas went into this world. So I was happy to ignore them sort of coming back on the real dangers of this virus to humanity and May being quite intelligent and there being humans like William H. Macy's character who are quite intelligent and are willing to help apes and haven't turned into a non-dogs drinking water. I'm scared it's going to come up on the microphone, but here we go. But essentially him not turning into, you know, a mindless creature. So I was happy to sort of, you take one, but you give me something that's more complex. And I found that as a great trade-off.
I mean, from watching the original 5, in the first 3, it's all played by the same guy, even if it's different characters. It's Roddy McDowell. He plays Cornelius in the first couple of films, and then in the 4th and 5th one, there's a character called Caesar that's also basically like the uprising. Because the way that I guess spoiler for slight spoilers for those original 5 films, they set off where there's time travel and humans go to the planet. Then they have to flee that planet because it ultimately is destroyed. And 2 apes come out of it in the 3rd film, landing back in, I guess, more present day, where they send off those people with the spaceship that time travel into the future, and they're then talking apes, and they are like introduced to the world. Really good. The 3rd one is really good. And ultimately leads to them to well, at that part I don't want to spoil, but essentially their kid then Caesar is growing up to be like the soul speaking ape and is also causing an uprising, which is essentially the same as I guess what they do in Dawn, but on a way smaller scale. And I think this like franchise has scaled in a way, in a great way, that with what they had available, I think this first one especially has incredible prosthetic and makeup work, probably in the top 3 of what I've ever seen. It's that great because they somehow make, obviously it looks like humans in ape suits. It's not like you're fooled, but to the extent of making that believable with their eyes, that there's so much emotion in it with someone who's wearing a costume. I don't know if I have ever seen it like back from the 70s in such a convincing way. And I think it's why this franchise is still sticking around.
All right, so great segue into VFX of this film, because
so good.
Obviously, makeup is one way of doing it, but they do a really great job mocapping, which when I was watching this, the only thing that was going through my head when I was thinking about VFX was how shit the most recent Mufasa trailer was. And I was sitting there like, would it be better if Mufasa's characters looked as realistic as the apes do in this film, or would it actually be worse for them? Because I feel like if I see Raka start pumping out a song all of a sudden, right, I would have probably been like, it doesn't look that realistic, because they're quite humanistic in their ways. But I found that the VFX almost flawless.
I don't have any gripes with it at all. I think it looks stunning. There's like one scene towards the end with water. The interactions with water and mocap and knowing a bit about VFX,
crazy brave
to do that is like it's such a flex. It's so impressive.
So I thought they were going to be quite conservative, because with the opening of the film, a lot of it is it opens in a bright daylight, but there's a good chunk of the film that takes place at nighttime, and I thought it's obviously a really smart move for VFX artists to, especially when you're playing with the Uncanny Valley stuff, to really not have bright environments, because as soon as you can see the whole of a character, the believability can just wear off and that uncanny valley just pops up. You're like, you can tell that's fake. But when they have these sort of twilight or pure nighttime with fire, especially when there's those scenes with the gorilla with his men on horseback riding with torches, I just thought, oh my God, this looks insane. This looks so good. And I know it's not real, but it looks so good because they're using light in a way that is not like mine and really shit. They're using it in a way that lets them use VFX and not have it look just completely 100% CGI. They're using really interesting lighting on these characters that they would then have to replicate on digital characters. Like they're doing a lot of work here, and it then makes the later sequences, like you said, with the water, and you go, okay, the uncanny valley stuff is showing here, but oh my God, this looks so good. There are sequences that you can kind of see it, but for the most part, it looks really, really good.
I wasn't taken out of it like a single time. The only thing that I was like a bit taken aback by is the end of Proximus Caesar, when he basically gets snagged by a bunch of eagles. I found that to be a bit too corny, but it certainly was an ending to that.
He's not dead, by the way.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, he just fell in water.
Oh, yeah, he's not. He fell in water. He's not dead.
The thing is, with these characters like Koba, also the way that he fell in Dawn is like it's not conclusive. But I'm pretty sure he's dead. I would be surprised if they.
Spoiler alert: he dies. Not dead.
Yeah. Wait, how does he die again? I forget how he gets shot, right?
He saves May, and then they cut the net when they're crossing the bridge.
Right.
And he goes into the water.
Was weird. That was a weird death.
Like, I know that they probably don't know how to swim because I don't think they've got swimming instructors in Planet of the Apes. But he's a smart dude. He's read a lot of stuff. I'm sure he could probably just hold his breath and hopefully wade out the water to the best of his ability.
I would be surprised if he comes back, because it feels like whenever there is the grim route to go in this franchise, they do tend to go down that road. So
okay, sure, that's fine.
I feel like death is pretty conclusive in this franchise. But yeah, I like that's something that is just baffling to me again and again, like how depressing it is. Like they have that fight. May gets the stuff, gets the satellite communicator thing. She gets what she wants, destroys the rest of the weapons. A whole bunch of innocent apes who had nothing to do with this get killed. And it just seems depressing. Like whatever is what Noah was trying to do to get his people out, he was successful in that. But there was just a bunch of death, a bunch of ape kill ape that you shouldn't do.
Unnecessary killing, yes.
Again, the tribal stuff was another thing that was interesting to me, because it basically starts off as like, I was like, ooh, this dude directed Maze Runner. This feels like a YA thing, a young adult opening of like, hey, we gotta get the egg for the ceremony and stuff like that, until it's like uprooted and something else is happening. I think it's a pretty smart way to introduce a new character, and it works. It could have been like too cheesy and you don't take the character seriously like ever, but Noah was compelling enough to carry this film alongside, like we said, strong supporting performances. And there's also quite a bit of not that much action as in like the last couple of films, because there's no guns and humans wielding them, and there's not that much of just mass fighting going on. There's enough to be entertained the whole way through, and I really hope this movie does well, because it's one of the a blockbuster that I'm rooting for. And that's pretty much all my thoughts on the film, though. Do you have anything else you wanna?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I think the really subtle things that the film does. You just talked about the opening, how they have to leave one egg behind, and how Eagle Tribe is trying to not be the next ape where they, demolish, well, next human, I should say, where they demolish species by overconsumption. They're like, hey, leave one. That is the rule. And I found that little subtle stuff really interesting.
True.
I really enjoyed the little moments of how they explain like the telescope and the tunnel that sucks light. I found that stuff really exciting, and again, it's because these characters can communicate now, and to have them explain things that we know, like when even Rucker with his wealth of knowledge is explaining how this area that he's in was probably where they could hang out and breed or whatever it was, and it's just an airport. And I found that reveal just really funny, and I found the humor in this film quite good as well, with the little subtle moments and like sort of the little visual reveals as well. Like I found him explaining what it was, and then the next shot is them going up an escalator and there's just a big plane behind it. So I found that really fun. I think that with May, her sort of breaking the moral ground of is she against the apes? Ultimately, she's against, but she has sort of built this relationship with Noah, and that plays an effect. And I think that she might end up being the villain, but I could also see her playing the character of, we want the humans to be back to where they were, but could they live in harmony? And I think that's where this trilogy is going to go, of can apes and humans live together? Ultimately, I hope that this trilogy stays ape versus ape for the next movie at least, and humans, they slowly but surely build up their resources until there's maybe a war for the kingdom, for the planet of the apes, whatever it's going to be, right?
Yeah, what's going to be the next title?
And
have any ideas?
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a journey for the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Journey of the Planet of the Apes, or I have no idea what they're going to call it, but I had a great time, and I think that overall, I agree. I hope this is a success, and I hope that they get to make another one. And I think Wes Ball directed it, and he's named as the Legend of Zelda live action, but movie
I think
director.
He's going to do it. Yeah.
And I think that it would be really exciting to see that. Just to tap it into video games for a second here, there was two things I thought. I would be excited to see what he does with the Legend of Zelda adaptation. I think that he could do quite a good job. But also, you talked about how, was it you that texted that said it gives you like Last of Us vibes?
Yeah.
You know what? I think what would be better is a Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the vibes that I got with all of the skyscrapers with trees. I really think that would be a really cool adaptation into movies, would be a Horizon. And I think they talked about that at one point. I know that there's a Ghost of Tsushima one. I don't know if there's a Horizon video game adaptation planning on being done, but I think that would be visually interesting, and I think Wes Ball could do a really cool job with that. Yeah. But I think that this film was really good, and I'm actually quite positive on it.
And I think you can even go into it the way that they hold your hand a bit with giving exposition for the previous films, that you can jump into the franchise with this one.
Yeah, you can skip the original three. Well, original three to this. Well, sorry again, but they're all connected. So
the original three, the sequel to
the 2010
the failed remake,
2010 Planet of the Apes.
Exactly, the 2010s of the 20 of the Apes. Yeah, I arrived at a 3.5 out of 5 for this one. It's closer to a 4 than a 3 though. And I might like it more once we do get a sequel, because I don't know yet where they're gonna go with the human character, and I hope that they stay ape on ape, and then maybe it's on a rewatch, it might be a 4. But yeah.
So I'm a little bit more positive. I'm at a 4. Because I don't think the film is as good as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but I think on a rewatch, I definitely could be more positive on it. I don't think it is as action-packed as War, but I actually think it's more narratively complex and just a little bit more fun overall than what War was. So I actually think it's right now, even though that I gave Dawn a 4 and this a 4, they're both
in the top spot.
The dogs don't like it. The dogs are barking at me. Do you not agree with my 4 stars? I guess not. So I think it's better than. I don't think it's as good as Dawn, but I think that on a rewatch I could definitely enjoy it.
Okay, so it's at the top therefore. I do have War straight after it, and then the third one. I really like the third film of the.
Well, I haven't
OG
seen those original
5 films.
So.
But it's my number 4 out of the 10. I do have it higher than Rise and the original Planet of the Apes. And then all of the other ones I do have beneath that. But if you want to have a closer look at my rank list, that's below. But Lachlan, if you were to pair it up with another film, what would you pick?
I'm going to be really basic here because I told you that I would come up with one, but this entire time I really haven't. Let me just tell you right now, I'm going to be quite simple. Sci-fi, Apes, Planet, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've got nothing.
Hey,
the red chip. I thought the red chip was going to
choice.
be AI. I'm not even joking. When I saw that red chip,
going to be
that's
called
the other
HAL.
thing. That I completely forgot to say this. I totally thought they were going to Book of Eli me when they said they're going after a book, and I thought they were going to be like, at the end of. You've seen Book of Eli with Washington, Denzel Washington?
No. I haven't.
Okay, I'm going to spoil it for you. I'm so sorry. But essentially, the Book of Eli, he carries this book across a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and right at the end, turns out he's blind and it's a braille book of the Bible, right? I totally thought that when they said they need to get a book to teach humans what the words mean, that they were going to like get a dictionary and they were going to be like, this is going to save humanity so that they can learn to speak again with a dictionary. Which is why when I thought, when those three apes grabbed the ABCs, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. They're going to learn ABCs and then they're going to be like, here's the dictionary. But they didn't do that. And then I thought they had the red chip was going to be like some sort of AI thing. And I was like, oh, please, for the love of God, don't be an AI. Fucking for the love of God.
Yeah,
if this movie
no
has an
buzzwords
AI
in this one.
Yeah, there's no buzzwords. 2001: A Space Odyssey is my double pick.
Great. There's monkeys in it, for sure. That's a connection. I'm going to go with the third one of the original trilogy, Escape from the Planet of the Apes from 1971. I think that one is such a great thing because it's the one where the apes travel back in time. And it's essentially making a comment about the state of humans in the 70s or late 60s, and the way that they make everything, like even them arriving is some kind of capitalist consumption that can be turned into, and the way that they don't take it really seriously and that they're kind of stupid about it, and like negotiating what people know and what they don't know, what they reveal, what they know about the future, and maybe what the humans want to hear, and all of that, those dynamics. It's a lot of fun, and similar to this one, Kingdom, it gave me a lot to think about. So that's why, even if you haven't seen the first two, like Kingdom, and then if you haven't seen Planet of the Apes from the 60s, and then beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is the weirdest one. It's so weird. For some reasons, they just do a bunch of weird 70s like effects where like someone is walking and then they just disappear, and it's clearly just like they have two exposures and it's just like one of them gets wiped away. It's so silly, but hey, at least they tried. In Escape, they like in a clearer narrative, and they recap what happened in the first two films in like the first 5 minutes, so you can jump into it with Escape, and I think it's on par with this latest one. I think it's probably up to the same quality. But yeah, that's it for the double features. Not a lot coming out next week. I guess I should have done this for the next 2 weeks, but I haven't. The week after, I guess you're getting Furiosa Mad Max, but the big release this week is If from John Krasinski, Imaginary Friends. We'll be talking about that once I get back from the Gun Film Festival. Then Back to Black is finally out in US theaters. We've had it for like a month, and we can already tell you from the future, it's kind of bad. So you can skip out on that. A bunch of exciting re-releases though. North by Northwest from Alfred Hitchcock, as well as Castle in the Sky and Uncut Gems back in theaters. Uncut Gems as part of that A24 back to theaters release thing. Now that it's off of Netflix, hey, maybe give it a spin on the big screen. Then out on digital, we are getting Sasquatch Sunset on premium VOD this week, as well as Sting, a horror flick with a spider in it. Then Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. Godzilla Kong, the new Empire is out on digital, and then Madam Web is gonna come out on Netflix. And Lachlan, I don't know if your 4K for it already arrived, but I guess if you can't wait, you can watch it on Netflix. I'm not sure when it comes out.
No, I'm gonna watch the Steelbook. I think I might do a double feature of Madam Web and Morbius back to back.
You should, in the week that I'm not around in Gun, you just do a solo episode
Only watch
on
that
Morbius
back to
and
back,
Madam
just
Web.
continuously the entire week.
The podcast is just like you looking at the screen without any context and just your reaction, and like that for like 4 hours.
Since we don't have anything planned for next week, and maybe we shouldn't break the streak, maybe I will do a solo, just Madam Web and
would be
Morbius.
Funny.
Just me just talking to myself.
Oh, you talking about Sasquatch Sunset would also be a fun one. Well, we'll see. Well, you'll see on the feed. We'll have some videos lined up in the time that I'm away, and then once I'm back, there's a bunch of stuff that we'll produce. But in Switzerland, we do have two films that I want to briefly shout out: Love Life and John Galliano. He was in the news again, just with the Met Gala, because I think he designed dress that Kim Kardashian wore, and he was in a controversy, I think, like over a decade ago, where he was very openly anti-Semitic in Paris, and got videotaped doing that, was cancelled. And this is a documentary by Kevin MacDonald. I had the pleasure to interview him. He's done some really big films, but he's also into doing documentaries. And this was a documentary on John Galliano. And the interview should be out before I go to Cannes. So go check that out if you're interested. And that's it for this week. Again, by the time this episode comes out, literally probably while you're hearing this, I'll likely already be on a flight and catching the first few films in Cannes. I'm very excited. I just put together my schedule, like I said earlier this morning, and it's busy. It's not as dense as Venice. It's unfortunately not possible with the way that Cannes is structured to see consistently 6 movies a day. But I think I'll get around to the number that we saw last year. I won't be doing coverage while I'm at the fest. Just so not doing live streams, not doing reviews. We did that last year, and it took energy and time a bit away. I just want to focus solely on seeing as many films as I possibly can. In the meantime, hopefully Lachlan has something in store for you next week. If not, then we'll see you in 2 weeks with a new episode about the festival and Mad Max Furiosa. I've been hearing some great things. The reviews so far and the thoughts from filmmakers like Edgar Wright gave it huge praise, and essentially said that he put George Miller on to Anya Taylor-Joy to have her as the lead, and I can't wait. Anya Taylor-Joy is great. I've been a huge fan of hers for years, so I can't wait to see it. But yeah, that's the ending. I'm done with my waffling. Just afraid 1 week I can't waffle, Lachlan. In a week's time, I'm not around to waffle. What am I going to do that week? But yeah,
you're gonna watch a bunch of movies that I don't get to see, so I'll be jealous. I'll be waffling, maybe. Who knows? Yes. Maybe I'll do a waffle. Maybe I'll make waffles on live stream.
Waffles. Yeah.
What if I live stream the podcast? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Who knows? That would be a terrible idea.
Without latency for once, you can talk to yourself, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Because live streams, otherwise, we thought about doing the podcast live, but it's just not a great idea with times.
Yeah, all my jokes
that
don't make it into the podcast because their shit would be in it. So that's why we're not going to do it.
Hey, same for me here when I misspeak or something like that. Anyways, we'll see you next week.
Bye.